Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're back on the dev server having a look at a new ship which is coming into the game. This is the HMS Whitby, and it may be kind of, familiar to you since we already have one which is very similar to it. It's the Blackpool. The Blackpool is part of the Whitby class, whereas the HMS Whitby is also part of the Whitby class. And they're both the same BR. The only difference is the Whitby is rank 4 because it's a premium, and they don't do they don't do top ranking premiums, even though they basically do top BR ones nowadays. The Whitby, being part of the Whitby class, it has the standard dual-mounted 4.5-inch gun on the front of it. It also has the dual-mounted 40mm on the back, and also the limbo mortar, which sits here. Which just seems a bit odd to me. I don't know whether they're going to make it a bit more functional, but basically what this does is it fires off depth charges or something similar to those, and chucks them about 1 kilometer in front of the Whitby, and then that's about it. My guess is you're supposed to be able to move these, but at least in game at the moment you're not able to. So it's got the looks of a start of a destroyer or a mini destroyer, but of course it's a frigate, meaning that it's in the coastal tree and also has a lot less weaponry than its destroyer counterparts, while also being at a BR where it will see destroyers. The armor that's on it, the extra armor, is only around the 4.5-inch gun. At the same time, it does have 60mm on the hull and 4mm on the superstructure, so it should be able to take some damage. And also it has quite a lot of crew, 231 on this machine, to keep it running and to keep it going. The X-ray shows where a lot of the general modules are. You got the 4.5-inch gun with all of its ammo in the front. You got the 40mm, then of course the limbo mortars themselves that are around the place. It also does have access to a tracking radar and also a search radar, so you can see what's coming in. And the 4.5-inch guns are kind of multi-purpose, same as the 40mm in the back. There's just not a ton of them. You got the radio station, fire control room, the fire director, which is basically the bog standard one you see on a lot of these machines, 18 seconds calculation time and update time of 10, and then of course the bridge, which is huge at the front, so this will be a quite juicy target to stop this thing being able to maneuver. One smoke funnel, which is quite small, and the engine bay and transmissions themselves are actually quite small on the vehicle. Thought they'd be slightly bigger, but it seems like there's a lot of just dead space in the middle of this one, just in this area not doing anything, so very odd in that setup. I'm sure in actual life there is something there, probably a mess or probably some beds, but yeah, definitely an odd choice. Looking at the Whitby itself, you can make it not take the mortars if you feel like they're just another ammo rack. And also for the 4.5-inch guns, this is the thing I like about them. Just like the 5-inch guns from the Americans, they have a lot of choices of different pieces of ammo. You have HE, you have SAP, HETF, and of course HEVT, meaning that whatever situation you go into, you're going to be able to at least do something. One of the problems is you only have 2 guns, where a lot of vehicles that you'll face will have up to 8 or 10 of very similar guns, and they'll just be able to put out way more firepower than you can compared to what you're putting out. So you also have universal HE and AP belts on the 40s, pretty standard from that point of view, and the bomb mortar, obviously it's a premium, so you unlock this just by itself, and then modifications wise, everything is pretty standard. There's nothing here which screams difference compared to everything else. So a pretty bog standard frigate. The real question is this a better thing to buy than the Orla? The answer is yes. Is it better than the Spey from Operation Heat? Probably not. Because the Spey, which is of course the River class, the only issue with it is they took away its fun spawn, and instead it now gets the destroyer spawn, meaning that it's kind of not too fun. The Whitby will probably get that too, especially if it is doing a little bit too well. So it gets a quite cool skin. It doesn't get any other camos though. I know they're working on new camos for different things, so at least that's pretty nice. But the main thing, your main use of this vehicle completely revolves around the two guns on the front, which is why I don't necessarily like vehicles like this. So you have the mortars, right? So there you go. That's what you get. You can fire 6 mortars at the time. It fires at around about, well, I don't even know what to class it as. It's about 1 kilometer. Just looking at the sea, and there you go. They drop in and then they blow up. So maybe against vehicles like I don't even know, like maybe against vehicles such as submarines, if they ever come into the game, maybe there's a chance of them being useful, but right now that isn't the case. There is another bug with aiming. It doesn't seem to just be for the things that I thought it was for. Looks like it's affecting this thing as well, where it's not always aiming where it needs to. But the 4.5-inch guns, they do have a very good fire rate on them. They do have a lot of like niceties to them in terms of damage that they put out. You know, they're not as good as some of the other guns, but at the BR that you find this thing at, it'll be completely fine. You can see it's like a 3-second reload for the 2 guns, and if you're against smaller machines, you can just bully them. If you're against larger machines like destroyers, they're going to bully you, just because of how this whole like system works and how, you know, general firepower is going on. This is a German destroyer, and you can see it has 5 separate individual turrets that can all bang me. Whereas I have just this one turret on the front, so if this one turret gets taken out, that's all my firepower gone. Where for me, it's going to take ages to be able to plonk all of his different ones, which he'll be able to repair overall. That's why I don't like stuff like the Whitby. You are very much beholden to how long you can keep that front gun alive. Same with stuff like the Isuzu and other vehicles like that. And it's why having a plan B when it comes to a vessel usually feels really nice, because it means that you can try you know, a different tactic or something if your main one isn't working. But a Whitby is just one way and one way only, and that just doesn't, unfortunately, really sit right with me. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Millie Draper, Juan the Panda, Nick R. Cupila, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Merciless Reaper, Orange Tail, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Moxie B. Young, Peter Grayling, Jerry Provolt, Bareen, Alan Hacker, Sem Arslan, Uncle Bean, Derek R., and Lafouche for supporting the channel.